I just click live. It's gonna take a couple of minutes.
Yeah, I didn't. If I didn't know people that were going, I wouldn't have even known about it.
No kidding.
That's how little attention I pay to it now.
So what's been happening? We just had a crazy, fantastic show. Is this thing even on? It's
It
coming.
says live.
Yeah, but let me see. Yeah, we were just talking with our brother Robert Evans. It was pretty cool. Yeah, we're on. Let's see. Make sure they're all on. Yeah, we're good.
Yeah, it's been a wild ride the last few months.
No kidding. We were talking about. It was interesting. He was talking about what he's been through, and I don't know. It was probably like third week of January. Morgan started just got she got the intel. Just start putting men on.
Yeah.
Something's happening, and Robert just articulated it through his personal journey so well. But like, how's it been for you the last few weeks as a man?
The last few weeks has been really chilled out for me.
Well,
Everything, like my journey has just constantly, every time I sort of start going down any roads, it's always leading me back to self. And especially for me, my journey has always primarily been about the body. So, um, yeah, I've really been going back to the body again, and especially diet. Um, I'm just going to have to put the dog out. Sorry.
that's cool. That's all right. We're good.
Come on.
Happy Valentine's Day, Northern Hemisphere, Southern Hemisphere. Y'all had it. You're already on the 15th. We'll see what Jamie has to say. What's up, Nick? Sydney's in the house.
Yeah, so for me, it was probably a month or two ago. I felt really drawn to eating more fruit because I mean my diet was primarily meat based, and so there for a while I went down. I was really drawn to fruit, and so I was eating a lot of fruit. But then I realized I'm like, all of a sudden it was like one day something clicked, and it's like, why am I eating this stuff? Like I feel absolutely sluggish. I'm bloated. I'm feeling really crap. And for like everything that I had learnt previously through my healing, it was like all the warning signs were there that inflammation was starting. Um, and it's like, no, I need to head. And then I started getting more and more signs as well, like because I wasn't listening initially, that no, you need to go back to more carnivore based. So right now I'm heading back more pure carnivore again. So,
Wow. Well, you got to listen to
and
your body, right?
you do, and it's really funny because I've got a few friends that have just started going down that road as well, and just the changes they're seeing in themselves. It's like I'm watching other people experience what I was experiencing those years ago when I sort of had that really bad inflammation and the really bad monkey mind, and now like they're noticing the clarity they get from going down that road and the changes in the body, and it's yeah,
Going down what road?
the carnivore diet road.
Okay. So you know more people that are going down the carnivore road, and
Yeah.
what's happening to them? What's happening?
Just the mental clarity that like the brain fog just starts going away. That and you just start feeling like your body just starts feeling amazing. Um,
Did you did you go through anything similar when you went to the fruits, or did you go straight fruit and vegetables, or what before?
no, for me, I've never really been that keen on vegetables because I've always reacted to them.
Okay.
And then it was years ago that I learnt that vegetables, especially like leafy greens, they emit a basically a toxic substance to deter pests from eating them, which it, depending on how sensitive you are, you can really react to those toxins. So I noticed for pretty much my whole life that I didn't eat greens because they would just react so badly for me. So yeah, I just primarily went fruit, but it was like the changes, like I didn't notice any positive changes from going fruit.
Everybody's different.
Yeah,
Everybody's
I
different.
noticed.
But I
I
think the
noticed a
thing
lot
is
of negatives.
the body's speaking really loud.
It is.
It's speaking really loud.
You just can't ignore it.
Have you noticed any programs or programming that you found was connected to any physical ailments or conditions?
It's all connected.
Yeah.
For me, I can't think of any off the top of my head, but I know when I was noticing the patterns, that there was a lot of interference at that time. I think last show I mentioned that I'd gone on a couple of mushroom journeys, and that was kind of linked as well, because the experiences I was having there, I knew that I had some attachments and I managed to clear some myself, but then it was at the point I knew there was some there that I couldn't clear on my own because I couldn't sort of get past them to do what I needed to do. And so I thought, well, I know where to go. Like for me, holographic kinetics in that situation is where I go, because I know that it works for me. And I thought, all right, well, I didn't get the call to go book in yet. And then eventually sort of, because you can learn so much from attachments. So I waited until it felt right and then booked in, and then it was still a week later. So, and then that experience in itself was amazing again. Just during the session, she managed to tune in and find some other programs that I had been running since I was like a teenager that I didn't even realize was there. And yeah, so that was awesome again.
Wow. So, I mean, when you say attachments, do you mean like programs?
No, like entities.
Entities. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you view those as part of you or separate from you? There's no right answer. I'm just curious.
Both.
Both. You see them as separate. You see them as a part of you.
I think we basically create them, but we can also share them as well. Like, I mean, we are all one, so we basically create.
Well, we're transmitters.
Ourselves.
We're sender receivers, right?
And that's another thing I've noticed is just there just is a plethora of them at the moment.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Does it feel like? I mean, I know there's always a soul level, but like we're in these bodies, like in there has been some evidence that there's been a huge masculine surge or something occurred. Does it seem like any of it's related to the masculine programming?
I think it's more to do with what's going on out there at the moment. I think that's one of the things that the jab does. Because the lady that I go to for HK, she mentioned something and then it all clicked. It's like they basically, it's like dropping the guard that they have, and it's somehow creating almost like portals where they can just see. I don't even know where they come from. The further I go down this path, the more I realize, the less I know.
Of course. That's the whole thing, right? It's like that's the whole thing. That is the void, the great void. I mean,
yeah,
that's where we've never left. We've never left the holy darkness, the holy womb. And
but I'm noticing more and more people that I connect to that have had them, and especially like a few people that I've met now that have had the boosters, and it's like you can just see the entity is just like overtaking.
Wow.
Like there was one the other night, a friend of a friend that I met, and I was just like, wow, she's got so many attachments. And then I said something, and then she's like, oh yeah, I just had my booster. And I was just like, wow, like it was just there in front of me.
Did you tell her she had attachments?
No, I didn't. I told her other stuff, and I think she was already half broken. So yeah, like I was talking about my friend's dead cat that was in the window, and this cat that I had no idea about, that I was just seeing this cat, and she's like, oh, that's a cat that I lost years ago. And yeah, those things were enough to spin her friend out. So I was like, yeah, I don't think she's quite ready for that conversation yet.
So when you find these attachments, is just the awareness of them? Is that where
They serve a purpose, and for me, like if I go back for my first HK session, I knew that I'd had some for pretty much my whole life, and they had taught me so much, because for me, what they do I can only speak from my experience, but it's like they really focus on the monkey mind planting negative seeds, and then physically they target whatever weakness you have in the body and sort of increase that. So for me, I look at them as a positive thing, because if you can overcome the monkey mind and then the physical things, it's almost like for me, the most growth I get is when I'm in the pressure cooker. So for me, entities are the ultimate pressure cooker.
So, like when you become aware of them, do you have to like break bread with them? Do you go through any type of ritual or process, or do you just the awareness itself brings equilibrium?
Usually the awareness, but then sometimes it's once I feel like they've served their purpose. If they're ones that I can't shift on my own, then I'll get assistance to remove them.
Mm. And do you think that there's a relation? Because you said, because I said, do you think is there anything, any of it, having to do from your mind masculinity, and it could be anything else, whatever. And you said something about, I think it has to do with what's out there. Talking about the jab. Do you
Yeah.
feel like that the energy of the jab affects your field or others' field, other people's fields?
I think if people aren't conscious and aware of their field, it is very much easily messing with them.
Okay, right on. So what you're saying is your experience has been that, like with this girl the other night, that there's actually an energetic change that
Yeah,
occurs that you're sensitive to and that you can see.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Same as I seem to know that now, the day before we're going to get huge solar activity, or there's a lot of harp activity, things like that. It's like I have the sequence of things, like different feelings and sensations, and it's like, oh wow, we're going to get hit hard tomorrow. So it's like I get a day notice, and then all of a sudden, yeah, then you'll start seeing it. You walk outside the next day, and there's just harp clouds everywhere, or you get heaps of notifications about solar flares. So
That seems to have been happening a lot lately. Like,
yeah,
I mean, I don't even know where to start counting, but I'm going to say January 1st. To me, I mean, I can't sit here and count them, but I'd have to say, what's that? What's today? Like 45 days. I'd have to say we've gotten at least 45.
oh,
And it
at
seems like
least.
some days it's 2 and 3 times.
Mm,
There's been days it's 2 or 3 times. You got to get horizontal. You can feel it
yeah,
coming.
yeah. Yeah, and I mean, there's been days where I've walked into my bedroom, like feet on the floor still, and I've sort of leant forward on the bed, and it's just like I'm just gone, just totally gone. But that in itself is, I've found benefits in that too, because like especially with the harp and stuff, it's usually I'll get a different tone ringing in my left ear, and before I was aware of what changes it was doing to my body, it was like, mainly for me, it was in the base of my skull, and then it would sort of come up between the skull and the brain into the forehead, and like real pressure behind the eyes. But then when I was aware of it, it would suddenly get worse. But then I could basically, it was almost like I was detaching from my pain body, and then that would allow my soul to just fully be there with no pain body, and then it wouldn't affect me as much. So
What's your feeling for 22 February, 22/2/2022? Does that feel?
I know there's a lot of hype about it. Energetically, it does feel like something good is coming. I mean, for me, looking at the Canberra thing, without, like, I haven't even looked at any feeds, nothing. I've seen a couple of photos, but that's it. For me, that just is basically an external representation of the collective dark night of the soul. It's like, yeah, that's the way I see it. So there's a lot of progress being made, even though people think there's progress in one way, but it's like the bigger picture is there's a lot more progress being made by people being conscious and aware, and then you've got other people that are like me, and they've just got no interest in it, and it's like, I'm not feeding that system at all. Like, yeah, it's just the ball's rolling. There's no stopping it. We've known this for a long time. So
yeah. It's interesting because you're right. There, you talk about people talk about the Great Divide. So you have people. I saw Morgan sent me a crazy video yesterday, and it was it's in Canberra, and a lady is at a stoplight, and another lady runs into her. Did you see this? So she runs into her. Her friend gets out with a camera, and that's how it starts. She walks up to the lady. What the hell's wrong with you? And the lady rolls down the window, and she's like, just starts going off on her. Like, you fucking people, get out of Canberra, go get a job. The media's not listening to you. And I'm going, whoa. And then the lady pulls out and still yelling at her and goes to go around the car and hits the car diagonally and flips over, is literally flipped on the side diagonally and can't go anywhere. And I'm watching it and I'm going, wow, what is that? But it's like two different worlds.
it is.
So you have people that have because you can see the awareness in Ottawa and in Canberra and other places of the crowd. Like it's not like, like real aggressive. It's very peaceful and harmonious and but at the same time, we're not going to stand for this kind of thing. So I could see where at a certain level of awareness, you would participate because it's like an energetic representation or physical representation of your energy. And then you have people like yourself who are kind of like, I know it's there, but I'm not going to go there. There's no point.
No,
I'm going to continue to work on the universe to affect the outerverse.
that's exactly right. Because everything I do just keeps leading me back to self. One thing I have noticed recently, the last couple of weeks, I've really felt the pull for the creative side to come out. Started drawing again, and so that's been really good. And then I've realized that because I didn't know why I was doing it, I knew that I needed to do it, so I started. But then I started realizing why, because I did a session the other day for someone, and then the drawings linked in with that. So that was awesome.
Wow. Yeah. We were talking about that on the previous show because he's an artist, and I'm getting back into writing and doing soul speaking, and this all kind of like took a different turn 2 or 3 weeks ago. Like it was headed that way, but we were talking about how the influence of the feminine energy, that creativity, the flow, right, the organic, and how the masculine part had reached a point now where it's getting the work done, or beginning to get the work done, but not in the old way. He was talking about how last year he was saying how I had to post every single day, and now it just only when it's organic and it aligns, basically.
Yeah, everything is a lot more controlled and thoughtful, and instead of just that reaction of I need to do something, it's like if I feel like I need to do something, I'm not going to do anything. I need to just stop.
Right. Can't force anything.
No.
And I think it goes without saying, like yours has been, I think, it sounds like with the physical body, like, but it goes without saying, like the last few weeks, well, so far 2022, there's been a lot of personal stuff come up for us to look at. And I know that's been said over and over again. I guess it's happened, throughout the years, but since like say 2012, but like it's just like warp speed now.
Yeah.
Like people are actually acknowledging, to me, it feels like people are actually acknowledging that other people are going through what they're going through and giving them that respect. I'm not saying that's being spoken, but it feels different. You don't see a lot of the projection back and forth and all that.
It is definitely extremely obvious that that's happening a lot more and more now. And I even noticed myself. I was having a conversation in the group the other day that I'm in, and I even caught myself doing it. It was like, oh no, like sorry, I've just realised I was projecting my own shit on everyone else. It's like, no, you guys need to do this as part of your journey, and just that awareness like is coming everywhere now. So you can really see it that people are looking at things from a different perspective. It's like, well, they're going to do that. Why are they doing it? Because initially I was saying to myself, I was like, why are people going and feeding the system from the other side with the programming, like with the Canberra stuff? Like that was how I initially looked at it. And then I was like, you know what? I was watching one of your videos with someone recently, and something was mentioned and it triggered something in me. It was like, oh wow, no, this is just like an external view of them releasing the dark night of the soul. It's like they're in that part where they're about to come out the other side, and it's like, no, I don't need to go and ask for permission. It's like, no, I'll just take it back and do what I want. Like I don't need to go and ask for them to step down. It's like if we just pretend that they don't exist, then they've got nothing over us.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Like we were talking about this on the show Saturday with Missy Sue, and I said I saw this meme, and it was, "Don't worry about what I'm doing. Worry about why you're worried about what I'm doing," and then flip that. Right? That's what you're saying. That's what you're saying. And the funny thing was that morning, which I never comment on posts. I just don't. I haven't for a long time, just because, kind of like what you're saying. It's there, and I just don't need to engage the energy.
No.
But this guy had been putting up that morning. This guy had been putting up like antagonist comments in Soulogy group, and I'd seen him a few times as I'm doing my thing, and I just had to answer him. I had to just. He was just being an ass, and I just answered him, and I was like, kind of like, I wonder if I should have done that. I don't normally even say anything. It wasn't a bad thing. I just said like, I just talked about intuition, creativity. He was throwing shade on. I guess information that the government puts out, But anyway, so after I put it up, then I saw that meme, and I did a Jamie. I went, "Oh my god, it's none of my fucking business," like, and then you just let it go. Yeah. I think that's how you learn, though, right?
It is. Yeah. Sometimes you need to get a foot down that road, and it's like, no, pull yourself back. You've learned this already. You don't need to be going down there.
Yeah. I think we get confused that the I am soul path is all unicorns and butterflies and rainbows, but it's actually, I've said this for years. Another way to say I am soul is I'm not afraid to show my ass, or I can admit I just showed my ass.
Yeah.
In the internal dialogue,
the vulnerability in publicly admitting when you've done something that doesn't really align is huge.
That's powerful. That's a powerful, powerful, powerful thing. And I think we just spent an hour and a half talking to Robert Evans, and that's basically what he was doing. He was talking about his deep-rooted sexual distortion from 13 years old, whatever, porn. He talked about his journey. He talked about this transformation. He just kind of hit a climax a couple of weeks ago. You could see it in his energy. You could feel it. He didn't have to say anything, but at the end of the day, that's what he was doing. He was just like being totally transparent, and not that he didn't. Well, he did say he affected others, but he was talking in respect to himself, and the judgment was gone. Right? Like,
yeah,
like that's pretty powerful to say something like that when you've done something to someone else or to yourself, because ultimately that's what it is.
Well, it's another thing I've noticed, like I've been saying more now, is that we need to be more unapologetically ourselves, because even when we say things that, you know, it may affect other people. We're just speaking our truth. We shouldn't filter anything for anyone.
Yeah.
Because I found I was doing that a lot. Like even on the last show, there was aspects that I held back because of other people, and
Really?
it was like,
What
why am
did
I
you want
doing
to
this?
say? What did you want to say? Say it.
No, it's like when you started asking me about what was going on with the light body stuff, like I held back with that, and whereas it's like I've learned now that that's just my journey. Like whether it affects other people, that's, you know, not something that I should concern myself
that
with.
self-consciousness, that
Yeah,
self-consciousness that
because even if it triggers someone, then obviously they're meant to be triggered by it. So
that's the way it goes. What goes around comes around.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were talking about that too on the last show. I just forgot what it was. A lot of energy on the last show, and this one too. I can feel it. It's a powerful day. I know it's the 15th over there, but it's still like that energy of, you know, the energy of Valentine's Day, not the holiday, the energy. And
it'll be amazing when we get that love frequency every day instead of just on certain days.
Well, I think it's always present, but there's just these massive waves that have been coming in that you were talking about, and they're just relentless. You know, 2 days ago I laid on the couch, and it was just one of those waves came in, and it was one of those where people were talking about it. You know, like so. You know, it wasn't just you, but instead of like trying to find this and find that as all this stuff's being shown to me, I just was like, man, okay. Go for it. Like physically, it was just as noticeable, you know, in the experience. And I was just like, you know, the heart's doing the palpitations, the breathing, you know, I mean, just different sensations, the pains in different parts of the body. I'm like, okay, something's breaking up there.
Yeah, it was 2 or 3 days ago that I had it, and I was driving, and it was like I kept forgetting where I was. Because I was about an hour's drive that I was on, and I was on a road, and I knew where I was, and then suddenly it was like I was on a completely different road. I didn't know where I was disorientated, and that happened like over and over, and it was just like, right, well, I'm just going to keep heading the same direction, and I'll realize where I am when I'm meant to turn or something, because I don't know what's going on. That happens
all day long, every day now, that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Like you walk into the kitchen, like, what am I doing in here? What did I come here for?
I haven't had it that bad driving before. Like I've had it driving, but that was just, it was like, I don't know what was happening that day, but yeah, I was just like, well, I'm just going to go with it. Like, yeah, there was nothing I could do.
So have you had anything deep come up this year, like 2022? Is anything like just went, okay, I got to really look at this. This is something really, really deep. You know, anything like that?
I have, but I should really write them down, because once they're gone, they're just gone. They come up and I deal with it, and then it's gone. Actually, it was probably late last year. I had some really big releases, especially just after Christmas, because I went camping for a couple of days after Christmas, and I had a lot of total mental blank.
There it goes. I told you. It's happening to everybody. Don't feel bad. It'll come back.
Abandonment and codependency, all of those type of issues that I thought I'd cleared, but there was different aspects that I hadn't cleared. So they came up for release. And I mean, if I go back further, go back to November, I ended up facing one of my biggest fear. Well, my biggest fear on 11/11. Because if I go back prior to that, I decided, because I'd always had this issue with flying in aeroplanes, and every time I was on a plane, it felt like I was falling out of the sky. And then I had a spontaneous past life come up one day, and then it all made sense because I died in a plane crash, and it was that feeling of falling. And so, like, it wasn't even just flying. It was if I went up higher buildings, anything, I would just feel like I'm falling out the sky. And I thought, right, well, how do I confront this fear? because these days I'm like, if there's something, I just want to go for it. And I thought, oh, maybe if I go for one of those joy flights in a little airplane, that'll do it. And then my auntie was going to go skydiving, which she actually goes this weekend.
I saw that picture.
And so that planted the seed, and I was like, right, well, I'm going to jump out of a plane, but I didn't have the cash, and I live very free in terms of money these days. Because that's another story. But I said, right, universe, I've decided I'm going to skydive. If you can make it happen, I'll do it. And within a week, I had someone offering to pay for it, and then within a week, it was like the dates that available was on 11/11, and I was jumping out the plane. It was either 11 or 12 o'clock that day. So, yeah, and it was amazing. Best experience of my life.
Really,
Yeah.
really. What
Yeah.
was it like? What was it like going up in the plane? Were you tripping?
Well, I'd done a lot of energetic work, and I was being super conscious of my mindset, focused fully on my breathing, and it was like on the way up, you're basically just going around in circles, up and up and up and up and up, and it feels like you're there for an hour going up, because I was like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to go from the highest height. I'm not going to go for the low height. I'm going to go all the way. So I jumped from 15,000 feet, and so it takes a while to get up to 15,000 feet in a little plane. And there was a few moments that it was like there was that anticipation of the unknown, but it was like the universe has got you. If it's your time to die, it's your time to die. Like I'd already released the death program, and it was like, well, if I'm going to die, like I don't feel like I'm going to, but you know, at least I'm doing something meaningful, facing my biggest fear. Then you know, fuck it, I'll come back and
So
have to deal with something like that.
Okay,
again.
so like, how long did it take from the moment you jumped to land?
Like a couple of minutes. It's
Okay,
super
so
quick.
how long?
I think I was in free fall for about 70 seconds. And
Okay,
it's
that's what I was getting at. Yeah. So you're in free.
Describe the noise.
The noise.
The noise is deafening because you're falling about 200 kilometers an hour. The noise is deafening.
You mean the rush, just like the rush of the wind.
like the physical noise of the wind because you're falling so fast.
Yeah.
But what it does is because you've got so much sensory stuff going on, it just forces you to just be still. Like you are literally just looking around in awe of like, and it doesn't, everything looks 2D because you're so high up. You've got no depth perception. So everything looks flat and it's just, you're just there in the moment enjoying it. It's like there is not a care in the world. You're just there. Like there is nothing else in that moment.
Yeah, what a download. 70 seconds, fast track. And then as you're approaching landing, did you get scared at all?
No, like when he pulled the chute, I was just like, I want more free fall. It's like when we were under the parachute, it was like, oh, this is nothing. Like, get me back up. I want to jump again. I want that free fall.
Now you're going to become a serial jumper.
Oh yeah. If the next time the universe provides, I'll be doing it instantly. Without a doubt.
That's far out. I saw that picture. I forgot. I put it up on the post. I saw that. And so because you don't really practice, do you? You don't practice. I mean, do you just sign up? I'm going to go up, and this guy attaches to you, and you get up in a plane.
Well, you basically just get in the plane individually. You just all harnessed up, and then when you get to a certain height, then you basically sit on their lap. They clip their clips in, so you harness together, and then when it's your time, they just shuffle you, whether you like it or not, to the edge of the door, and then you're literally hanging out the airplane in your harness, like feet just dangling, arms on the straps, and you're just there. And the next minute he pushes you out, and then it's on. It's just
game on. Bought the ticket, enjoy the ride.
Honestly, I think it's something everyone should do. It's the most amazing experience. Prior to it, I'd watched some skydiving videos because I like to see what's coming. And I came across one with Will Smith talking about his experience with skydiving. And the thing that has stuck with me ever since then is the best things in life are on the other side of fear. And it is so true. Every time I confront a fear, like public speaking, having conversations like this, like it's just amazing every time. Doesn't matter what it is. If there's fear, if I confront the fear head on and go on the other side of it, it's just only good things.
Yeah, true that. But what a way to go. Which is, and you mentioned psilocybin mushrooms. That probably not so much with mushrooms, but other plant medicine. It's like jumping out of a plane,
Yeah.
when it first kicks in. I mean, I think that's really basically serving the same, type of thing, putting you into a place of fear, and what you do with it. Of course, there's some programming probably related that might come up in plant medicine, but yeah, because I could imagine, once you get pushed out, and like you said, you're dropping 200 kilometers an hour, the mad rush is creating this, this noise that's just basically, is what it is. And I could think, okay, am I going to die? Like for a second. And then you're like, well, there's nothing I can do about it. And I think that's what you're describing. Like you just go, okay.
Yeah, just complete surrender. Because I saw some skydiving videos where people are just freaking out and they will literally pass out because of the fear is so intense.
I've seen that on those. Have you ever seen those on the reels where they go on that crazy amusement park ride where they shoot you up, right? And then the people just do all kinds of crazy stuff. That's crazy. And you see people that pass out.
Yeah.
They'll pass out. They'll come to you and like, oh my God, and they pass out again. That's crazy.
It's that fight or flight response because they're in flight so much that the body's just like, right, well, I'm just going to knock you out.
Yeah. But I mean, like the metaphors that you see, I'm thinking about Franco talking about some of the work he did meeting souls that transitioned and talking to those souls. And the first thing was, man, I want to go back. It's like the parachute thing. Like as soon as your parachute went up, you're like, I want to go back. That part of it. And then the fear part of it. And then the part of it, what that opens up, if you can get past it. And then the part of it that no matter what, you're good. I mean, you're going to be fine. It's no big deal. And you don't have a choice because you already made it. You already made the choice.
No, exactly.
Earth is skydiving.
It is.
Without a parachute, without knowing if you have a parachute or not. But
that's very true.
Getting to the point where you do or something like that.
Yeah. You can, even if you don't have one, you can create one if you need it. So
yeah. It sounds like too that you're having some higher sensitivities starting to become more a part of your experience. People talk about intuition and telepathy a lot, and I think that's pretty obvious. Even though it's our experience, it is all we need to see it. We'll see it. But are you finding that you're expanding in those ways, in those capabilities within yourself?
Massively. Like last night and this morning, I didn't know if it was me or you that was running 5 minutes late, but I got the message multiple times. Then I got the physical one, and I was like, "You already know."
Yeah. There we go.
But yeah, especially with certain people, it's like I don't even need to speak to them, and I know what's going on. So.
Yeah, there's been a lot of energy to me. Especially like the last 3 weeks. Ever since this, I had these, I was telling Robert that I had 3 lucid dreams in 4 nights, and they were all about the masculine, which was new to me. Like I had little snippets here and there, but these were like huge. And I woke up after the first one and the second night feeling like just like somebody beat the living shit out of me. But the third time, which was the 4th night, I woke up and I was like, wow, I'm good. But ever since then, there's been a lot of stuff going on, like a lot of things happening very quickly. And I don't have a choice. It's just like, just surrender. Just let it come. Don't try to think about it.
I think that's why things have got a lot easier for me these days is because I'm like, whatever there is, bring it on. Like,
right. Yeah. What can you do to me?
Just go with it. Yeah, exactly. It's like I've got nothing going on. Come on, bring me something else.
Yes, it's coming. It's coming fast. That's why I'm excited about the 22nd, because people have actually talked about it. I can remember 4 or 5 years ago, Morgan's talked about it for at least 2 or 3 years that I know, that I can remember. But it just feels like something is, maybe it's already happening. I don't know, but the you see it a lot of different ways, including in the collective. But
And then the other perspective of that is because so many people are anticipating they're going to create it.
Well, obviously, there's going to be that energy, obviously. And that's how I look at the stars. The stars, the calendar. I mean, let's take the calendar, our calendars. Okay. I mean, that has an effect, no doubt. But it's tied to something. And then you get to the stars and astrotheology and things like that. And I look at it, I think that's an overlay. This is just a physical representation of coordinating something. And then you put us in there, which is kind of the wild card. So yes, we can attach to something and create it, or we can be in that creativity that you're getting back into or expanding with in the last couple of weeks. That creates something that's more natural to us. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Another part of it is I knew that Mum had kept a lot of my childhood stuff, like school stuff, and the last couple of months I'd been getting the call that it's like I need to go and revisit that stuff for some reason. And then it was the last couple of weeks I've really started looking at what she kept, because there was a big box of stuff that she kept, and I started going through it, and it was like I've learned so much, because I couldn't remember really much prior to sort of mid-teen. There was just nothing besides like a couple of little snippets, and it was like I'm missing so much information. I know that I don't need it, but at the same time it's like I know that there was codes and keys there that I needed to find. And I started reading these school reports, and it was like from basically like reception till the end of high school, there was like a massive correlation with the same exact things. It was like if I crossed out what years they were, people wouldn't have any idea what years they were, because it was the same thing across the board with the schooling stuff, with the programming there. But there was also like little snippets. I didn't even realize I was really good at maths in like late primary school, and different things that I'd totally forgotten. And then I remembered about different connections, and it just, there was so much that came up. And then also like different traumas that I had and different memories. Like one of the big things I remember is all through my childhood, basically since I was born, I was sick a lot. Like I was born lactose intolerant, had really like childhood asthma, broke a foot when I was like 1 or 2, whole bunch of like just about every year or two there was something going on. But I realized that I used to see colored balls every time I was going to get sick. I'd see these colored balls on the roof, and it never made sense. But I always knew when I had this vision, like this is going from very young, that it was like, oh, right, I'm going to wake up sick soon. Like it was the warning sign that I got, and then I would end up sick. But then the download recently, when I remembered, it was like the colored balls all represented the chakras, and it's like, you're out of balance. Bring yourself in balance, or you're going to get sick. Like,
wow,
because
that's powerful. That's powerful. Yeah. And I wonder, I mean, have you had like, because when you were saying that, I was like, what is that? But that makes sense. Like you were showing yourself that. And I guess everybody, has different experiences.
But yeah, it was like, at the time it made no sense. But looking back, it was like my higher self was trying to communicate with me, like, this is how you fix it. But I didn't know how to interpret it.
So do you do that now? Do you like work with your DNA and your chakras directly? Like
yeah, to a degree, I do.
Visually or otherwise.
Yeah, to a degree. but I just try, because I've learned now the correlation between the human and that. Like the reason they become out of balance, in my opinion, is due to, whatever we're doing or not doing, like, facing fears or not facing them creates blockages, not speaking our truth will cause blockages, all of those things. So I find if I'm consciously doing things that I should be doing, it's not really needed as much, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I just feel it now. Like I've just got that innate knowing that when something's out of balance, I just feel it, because you just feel like, oh, there's something off, and then it's like, all right, now I know why.
So when you feel it, you pretty much instantly know what it is.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
what caused it or what it is.
Usually, because it's usually recently with the fruit thing, it was like, the solar plexus with the stomach. It was like, there's something changing here. This isn't good. What is it? All right, that's what it is. Right, move back to what works. And
see, I think that's one of the things that's coming to light is, and this is one example, the diet, right? There's such a universal seeding, aspect to the earth, and like I'm looking at you or feeling into it or just having this conversation, like you're an ET, dude. I mean, like you're just built like Franco was that way. His whole thing, Morgan's that way. Like certain things she couldn't eat from the get go, like certain things, and I know a lot of people like that. But then, it's just like one size doesn't fit all.
no,
There's so many different things represented here, and we're made up of this infinite number of frequencies, literally, and they're all taking some type of physicality. And I don't know, it's just like more reason to not worry about what other people are doing. Worry about why I'm worried about what they're doing. But
exactly.
yeah.
Over the years, like due to all the issues I was having, and that was another thing as well. Like I found an old diary from high school and even primary school, and it was like there was so much time that I was off sick. I remember a lot of the time I was going through the dark night of the soul, and it was like, I can't be dealing with this shit. Like I need to stay in bed. But didn't know that was what I was going through at the time. But then there was also a lot of the time where I was obviously doing the wrong things and was getting sick a lot, which in my mind, all sickness and disease is just a manifestation of us not listening to ourselves, like not listening to what we should be eating, suppressing emotions, all of these things. Like that is just the physical representation. It's like, right, get your shit together or you're going to end up needing to reincarnate eventually if you don't deal with it eventually. That's kind of the way I see it now. But just like I reacted to so many different things over the years, like especially pharmaceuticals, that I was just always so sensitive. And there was very few pharmaceuticals that I didn't react badly to. Like I remember there was one that created a bowel blockage that apparently was like super safe and effective, yet I reacted severely to it.
So, yeah, you're definitely built differently, no doubt. You must know that. Well,
yeah.
But you still had to contend with, and that's another thing that throws it into the mix, like a wild card frequencies is everybody has a different lineage ancestrally, and life experience, traumas presented and so on. So, you have to deal with that on top of how you were constructed, so to say, how you're seated.
Yeah. I'm at the point now that I know that we sign up to learn specific things, but there's also things that we create for ourselves while we are here that we didn't necessarily need to experience, but because of the choices that we made, we then have to experience them.
Well, again, wild card. I mean, the free will thing. You hear a lot of people like Franco and other people talk about how you don't have free will like this in other planetary experiences where people have had memory like Franco. I heard Jason Estes talking about it one day. or it was at the Soulogy Fest. They were both talking about it. But like it's like we have put a plan together. We come down, and when we're not listening to the plan, that's kind of what I'm hearing you say. It starts to become. But we're also in an environment where, in that universal genius, the not listening creates code,
Oh,
creates
yeah, it
creates a
creates a way
potential.
for us to
Yeah.
listen.
Yeah. Well, like how deep I go is how high I can go, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I think the whole human experience is a deep dive.
Mm. And
Props
and
to everybody, right?
yeah, like even going back to the school thing, it was like I could even see the correlation when I was getting indoctrinated into the system, like
Mhm.
just going by reports and schoolwork. And I mean, there was obviously an aspect that I was trying to buck the system, like, and influence it subtly somehow. But like, it doesn't matter what I did, like, I still ended up partly indoctrinated in the system.
Yeah. But that rebel quality or characteristic seems to be prevalent among ETs, star seeds, whatever you want to call it.
Like, I mean, the amount of teachers that wrote about me being challenging and like basically disagreeing and like giving a different answer than what they wanted, like it was really funny to look back and remember some of the times it was like I must have driven them up the wall, but at the same time made them question things themselves. As well as being the class clown, probably. Someone had to entertain.
And then you find out it was a program.
Yeah.
You're talking about like growing up, like that's one thing I've noticed too, because there's a lot of stuff popping in your head this time for people.
Yeah.
And so something will come in, from my childhood, and I'll be like, okay, what didn't I see? It's not like a hard work. It's just like, oh, this is in my head. There's a reason it's here, and then you find it. The energy is very much becoming more and more accommodating, which can be ease and grace, or it can be a 2x4 across the head if we're not listening. But yeah, the answers are coming quick, the opportunities are coming quicker, and it's can be very rewarding. Although I don't know of anybody who just has smooth days every single day. It's like it can be very rewarding, and it's like you show up the next day. It's not like you do a discipline for 6 weeks and then you move to the next one. You do one for a few hours, you get up, and they give you another one because you can handle it. Which is us calling the shots, basically.
Or, I mean, sometimes you can feel that it's there and it's like, I can't find it. What is it? And then sometimes it'll take a few days for it to surface because it's then linked to other things. But it's just that awareness of, all right, I've got something coming up. Let's make sure I'm super conscious of everything and not reacting, like, especially if other people are around. And
yeah, it's a good time to take things slow.
Yeah.
Go on the couch if you need to go on the couch. I discovered something last night that I'm quite fascinated with. Especially the last 3 weeks or so, I try to watch stuff like even YouTube videos and just chill because it's that's coming in the body, and you just got to lay there, and you're either going to get knocked out or you're going to just feel it and be conscious, and try to do like movies primarily. Some videos I can't watch anything. And last night I got something. I got to say this. This has never happened to me before, but it was the whales, right? Like, and it wasn't like a language. It wasn't like in language. It was just this sound, and I knew it was the whales. And I thought, wow, I'm gonna look up. I'm gonna just get on YouTube and watch it on the TV and just see what comes up. So it went from that happening to me watching these incredible videos of the real shit, like penguins, like their whole journey. And then it went to the whales, and then it went to dolphins, and then it was on land, and then I ended up watching a movie or watching a video, and it was it was like these incredible places all over the world. Like this place in China they just discovered in 1990, and it's this vast, gigantic forest with these mountains that look like, when you go into a cave and you have those things that are, I don't know what you call them, but they're like frozen, like ice.
Yeah.
They're like they could kill you. I mean, they're like, sharp. They were like that, but they were from the land up. And it was crazy.
Wow.
And I don't know. I went deep with Mother Earth. I was just like, whoa. And what I noticed was this morning, because I've kind of been going there, like, what are you doing before you go to sleep? I try to meditate. I try to connect. Sometimes you're tired. Sometimes you're not. Sometimes it's more effective. Sometimes you're not. But I pay a lot of attention to my dreams because I get a lot of information in my dreams. And I was thinking, like, what would the effect be? Well, I woke up this morning. All my dreams last night were like as dolphins, as whales, as fish under the ocean, people that were having the same experience. I mean, it was like, wow. But yeah.
It's really funny that you bring that up because it was only probably a couple of weeks ago. I don't remember the last time I saw a dragonfly. And then there was a day a couple of weeks ago, I went outside and I was like, they were in plague proportions, these dragonflies. They were everywhere and everyone was talking about it. Like even people that are totally 3D, it was like everyone noticed this day there was dragonflies everywhere in Adelaide. And then after that, it was like there was bugger all the next few days. And like you'd see one here and there. And I haven't seen those numbers again. But when I saw them, I was like, oh my God, they are here doing so much energy work. It was like they came and they were rewiring stuff. And it was just incredible.
But
yeah,
and
everything is so connected.
I know. And then I was, I saw a post the other day. This guy had a really long post. I think his name's Nova Max. And he was talking about how we are not just changing ourselves, we're changing everything on the earth. So the animal kingdoms, because as I was watching some of these shows last night, they had different animals above and below the water. It was very obvious the masculine, the characteristics of the masculine in the field compared to humans.
Yeah,
right?
well,
And I was like, whoa, how's that going to be, right? How's that going to work? And so then I remembered what I read. And then the next thing I know, I see these two, I don't know which kind of whales they were, but they were freaking big. They were huge. I'm like, they were gigantic. And the female came in, the male came, and they started this whole dance. And it was just unbelievable. It was like Helios Gamos in the flesh, nature showing the way. But what came through for me was the frequencies of those souls. And that's what I said to myself. Oh, wow, they're, it wasn't just because of that, but it's like they're actually doing the work all over the planet. Like,
yeah,
they're doing stuff.
Another thing I've noticed as well, like different birds that used to want to kill each other are now sitting next to each other on trees and power lines, and nature really is showing the way.
I think so. When Morgan was here, I call her Snow White. She'd be out here in the back every night, and she'd put out food. Dude, the whole fucking forest came, and so she would put up a line of food across the driveway, right from our garage door to the forest. So there's a pretty good sized drive that runs horizontal and abuts to the forest. So you would have a cat, a raccoon, and a possum all side by side eating, right? And every now and then you hear one snap at another one, but it wasn't to attack. It was just back away. This is my section.
Yeah.
Like I thought, well, that doesn't happen.
No.
These are wild animals. Even the cats were.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Everything is, I mean, everything is a mirror. So whether they're influencing us or we're influencing them, it's
all tied together.
Yeah.
It's just, who knows? It's the chicken and the egg question. It's
that's something I've noticed with myself more now. Is it's like I don't need to know the in between details. It's like
No,
you can just drop something in my lap now, and I'll just go, "Yep, okay, I'll do,
you can't.
I'll take
You
that."
can't. You don't even have
I-
time. You don't even have
no,
time to figure it out anymore because they're coming so fast.
yeah, it's
You know?
just that pure unconditional trust and surrender, and it's just like you tell me to do something, and I'll do it.
Right.
Like I'm really getting the call now that I need to get ready to move. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know how it's going to happen. But yeah, I'm going through stuff, downsizing, and eventually when the time is right, they'll be like, right, you go and do this.
Like a thief in the night, the information will come. Hey man, it
Yeah,
was good seeing you. It was very good seeing you. I'm glad you came
you
on
too.
today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
It's always a pleasure.
absolutely, man. Yeah, just keep on doing what you're doing. I love that you're putting your stuff out there on YouTube, and yeah, just keep doing it, man. It's just like it's just
Yeah,
there's
I really enjoy doing it. So I
yeah,
like helping people, and if someone gets something from it, then that's
yeah.
awesome.
Well, yeah, but you do it for yourself too, right? I mean, it's just like
That too, yeah. I
not
mean,
from an
learning on the fly.
just like just hey, I want to do this. I'm gonna do it. It's just kind of
Yeah.
like you getting your stuff ready and getting ready to move, and you don't know where.
Mm. It's
But
just, yeah.
yeah, you take care, man.
You too.
Appreciate you. Peace out.
Bye, everyone.